For the love of everything that is right in the world, please tell me that you watched some games this weekend, because I feel like something special happened in every single league around the world, which means I'm going to talk about it right here, right now, on this week's Weekend and Rewind, and I'm going to do it without my shirt on because I'm that fired up. Ole, 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 ole. Okay, I'm kidding. I'll keep my shirt on because I don't want to get any unnecessary yellow cards on my own show. Just wouldn't be right. So let's get right to it. Good weekend. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who came off of the bench in the 71st minute with his new club, the LA Galaxy, down 3-1 to LAFC in the first ever LA Derby. And 20 minutes later, he scored 2 goals, including one of the best goals that I have ever seen in MLS. And then he scored the game winner with a few minutes left in the game to help the Galaxy come back to win 4-3 in what was hands down one of the best MLS games that I have ever seen. And yes, we probably all said this before at some point during his illustrious career when he does something amazing, but Zlatan is a god. This is a fact, and most definitely the best thing to happen to the Galaxy since Robbie Keane left. Also, I would say roll the clip on his goal, but all of the highlights of this game are so good, especially since LAFC's Carlos Vela scored 2 dope goals as well, which put LAFC up 2-0 in the first place. But Zlatan stole his thunder, as Zlatan does, so that'll be the top link in the description, and I encourage you to check it out. But wait, keep this in mind when you watch Zlatan's first goal in MLS, because my good pal Bateson put out a tweet saying that the goal was good, but that MLS keepers are shite. So he's basically saying it wasn't worthy of godlike status, and I had to call him out because this has nothing to do with MLS keepers being shite. So he and all of you guys can ease up on that rhetoric. It's getting pretty tired. This was a great goal in any league and against any goalkeeper, though I feel bad for this one goalkeeper in particular, Tyler Miller, because this highlight is going to follow him around for life. Bad weekend. Me and Borussia Dortmund. And I say me because I thought Dortmund were going to be up for this one against Bayern Munich in Der Klassiker. I really did. And I even said on Friday that Dortmund aren't just going to roll over for Bayern. And let me tell you exactly what they did. They rolled over for Bayern. They gave up 5 goals in the first half, and they ended up losing 6-0 overall, and that is embarrassing. And honestly, they shouldn't show their faces around town until they make up for it somehow. Also, can our American Lord and Savior Christian Pulisic's year get any worse? Not only did he not qualify for a World Cup, his club put out a disgraceful performance in one of their biggest games of the season. And yes, I know I'm going in hard on the black and yellow right now, but if you watch this game, you would agree, because it was that bad, and I actually think that Pulisic should consider leaving in the summer. I really do. But credit where credit is due, since Bayern Munich, who were led once again by a hat trick from goal-scoring machine Robert Lewandowski, they look fantastic, and I really feel like they're peaking at the right time, which now makes them one of my favorites to win the Champions League, when I was a little unsure whether they had it in them before, but I don't feel that way anymore. Good weekend, Leo Messi, who came off the bench just like Zlatan and scored the game-tying goal in the last minute of the game to help Barcelona come back from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 with Sevilla and keep their unbeaten record in La Liga intact. However, if you watch this game, then you will know that Sevilla should have been up 5-0 by the time Luis Suarez and Messi scored in the final few minutes of the game, because they were all over Barcelona for most of this affair. I'd say maybe 87 minutes of it, and with a little bit more composure in the attacking third, they would have handed Barca their first loss of the season in the league. So I guess this is more of a bad weekend for Sevilla than a good weekend for Messi. But the best players make the plays when they are needed, and I just thought that deserves some recognition. Bad weekend, Monaco. Not that I was surprised that they lost 3-0 to PSG in the Coupe de la Ligue final, which is the 16th trophy that PSG have won out of the last 18 possible in France, which is an incredible statistic, by the way. It's just how Monaco lost, which was being systematically broken down by their former player Kylian Mbappe, who had 2 dope assists to Angel Di Maria and Edinson Cavani, and he dribbled through 3 or 4 players before being brought down for a penalty on the other. And I mean, what the F, Monaco? Of any player that you know well and should know how to defend, it's Kylian Mbappe, and you couldn't do it. But it doesn't matter now. So congrats to PSG again for whipping up on everyone in France. It's just too bad that you can't do it against real competition in the Champions League. Hey-ho! Got him! Pew, 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 pew. And speaking of trophies, I want to give it up to Dani Alves, who with his latest triumph with PSG has now won more trophies, 36 in total, than any other player in history. And now I'm just trying to decide who he needs to thank more for that. Leo Messi or Pep Guardiola, since he won 23 of those trophies at Barcelona. Messi, Guardiola, Xavi, Iniesta. I don't know who to pick. Good weekend, Spurs, who, behind some fantastic goals by Christian Eriksen and Dele Alli, finally beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge for the first time in 28 years, 3-1, which now puts them 8 points clear of Chelsea in 4th place, which means Spurs have guaranteed themselves the Champions League next season, while the defending league champions, though, getting a goal finally from Alvaro Morata, though it was with his head. He only seemed to score with his head. We'll have to settle for the Europa League, which means Antonio Conte is leaving the place a total mess for the next manager that takes over after he definitely gets fired. Though, it's not going to be as bad as Jose Mourinho left it in his second stint with the club. So I guess that's something. Anyway, to end this one on a happy note, congrats to Spurs on a great performance, for breaking the curse of playing at Stamford Bridge, for getting into the Champions League again, and for finishing above Arsenal for the second consecutive season. Well done, fellas. And yes, I know, I said something positive about Spurs. Don't get used to it. Good weekend, bad weekend. Leo Bonucci. The good, the former Juventus defender went back to Turin for the first time since leaving Juve for AC Milan, and he got booed every time he touched the ball. So he was like, you know what? F it, I'm gonna score against you guys. And he did, which tied the game up 1-1 at that point in the game. And the best part, he celebrated his goal. And I love that he did, because why not? It's a big goal for your current club in a big game. And if your former club's fans aren't gonna show you respect, why do you need to show them respect in return? I don't think that you do. Also, we can discuss this further in the comments, because I'm quite curious about your thoughts on the matter. The bad, Bonucci's former club, who seem to win Serie A with their eyes closed these days, ended up scoring 2 more to give them the old lady the 3-1 win, which means they're probably going to go on and win the league without him, and that's gotta hurt Bonucci a bit. Good weekend! Some players you might have heard of that scored a brace this weekend. Like the Welsh superstar Gareth Bale, who, in the place of Cristiano Ronaldo, who's being rested for the first leg of their Champions League quarterfinal with Juventus, scored 2 goals to help Real Madrid beat Las Palmas 3-0, which should only raise Bale's value when Madrid inevitably shop him around this summer. And Marko Arnautovic, who scored 2 goals to help West Ham beat Southampton at home 3-0, which not only puts the Hammers 5 points above the drop zone, it also meant that West Ham captain Mark Noble didn't have to tackle any fans that stormed the field. So really, it's a win-win all the way around for David Moyes and his men this weekend. And Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who scored 2 goals for Arsenal in the Gunners' 3-0 win at home over Stoke, which helps keep them on top of the mid-table table over Burnley by 2 points. But that wasn't the best part for me. The best part was that Aubameyang could have taken a penalty near the end of the game to complete his hat-trick, but instead, he gave it to his strike partner Alexander Lacazette instead. And I just said instead twice. I hate when I do that. And that was pure class. That's what I wanted to mention. I mean, would Messi or Ronaldo do the same? I'm not so sure. Also with that goal, Lacazette becomes the first Arsenal player to reach 10 goals this season, and that is not a good-looking statistic for the club or their manager Arsene Wenger. They need goals to win games. And Dom Dwyer, who scored 2 huge goals in Orlando City's wild 4-3 win over the New York Red Bulls, which gave Orlando their first win of the season, and most likely keeps Jason Kreis's job as manager of Orlando safe for a few more weeks. And Mauro Icardi, who scored 2 goals in Inter Milan's 3-0 win over Hell Yes Verona, which gives Inter 3 wins out of their last 4 games and puts them only 2 points behind Roma for 3rd place. Bad weekend. Sporting Clube de Portugal. Because they had one job this weekend: beat 4th place Braga to remain only 3 points behind 2nd place Benfica. In case you know, Benfica slip up, which they could do since they play Porto one more time, but no. Sporting lost 1-0, which is only their 3rd loss of the season, but that eliminates them from having any chance of getting 2nd, and now they might even end up in 4th since their lead over Braga is only 1 point with 6 games to go. So SMH, guys, SMH. Good weekend, Leroy Sané and David Silva. And I think I've done this before, where I give some love to some unsung heroes on a very good team, and maybe I've even done it for David Silva before. But I'm gonna do it again, because for as much love and attention that goes to Kevin De Bruyne this season, which is deserved, don't get me wrong, but without the equally effective Sané and Silva doing great work in other parts of the field, I'm just not sure that Kevin De Bruyne would have the same kind of space and time on the ball that he now enjoys, because these other guys make opposing teams have to be honest defensively. They can't cheat and double up on players like De Bruyne, and I think you guys pretty much know where I'm going with this. I am showering love on some guys who deserve it, and if you watched the Everton City game, then you'll know what I mean. City dismantled them because of Leroy Sané and David Silva, and I just thought we should talk about it. Bad weekend, Napoli and Roma. Because both of these clubs needed all 3 points this weekend to keep pace with everyone else at the top of the table, and they botched it, as both clubs needed goals in the last 15 minutes to earn draws 1-1, which leaves Napoli 4 points behind Juventus at the top, which means the league is over. It's done. It's finished. And it proved that Napoli couldn't handle the pressure. They bottled it, and it leaves Roma in third, but only 2 points above Inter Milan and only 3 points above Lazio, so we'll see if they bottle it as well and somehow drop to 5th and out of the Champions League. Good weekend, Romelu Lukaku. With his goal in Manchester United's very comfortable 2-0 win over Swansea, the Belgian international became only the 5th player in Premier League history to score 100 league goals before the age of 25, so for as much shit as we all give him, Lukaku finds a way to score, just not against the top 6 teams in the league. Jokes! Bad weekend. The Western Sydney Wanderers, who have lost 2 straight games, including their 3-1 loss to the Melbourne Victory this weekend, which sees them drop out of the top 6. And for those of you that don't know, the top 6 are the ones that make the A-League playoffs, which has allowed my Brisbane Roar to snatch the 6th spot with 2 games to go, and the Wanderers play the Roar next week. So let's go Roar! I believe in you, you can do it. Good weekend, Mohamed Salah. Another week, another goal for this guy. But this one, which was the game winner for Liverpool over Crystal Palace, was extra special because it helped him equal the record with Didier Drogba for the most Premier League goals ever scored in a single season by an African. So I look forward to next week when we talk about how he broke Drogba's record. Bad weekend, Corinthians. Less than a week after I was in Brazil being told by countless people that this is the Brazilian club that I need to support. By Corinthians, they said repeatedly. Well, Corinthians lost at home to Palmeiras 1-0 in leg 1 of the Paulista State Final, so with a full week to prepare for leg 2 next Sunday, we'll see if they can make up for this result then, which is something that I know they're capable of since they beat Sao Paulo after being down 1-0 in leg 1 in the semifinals, so it's definitely possible. Also, I've yet to choose a Brazilian club as my favorite, so feel free to persuade me in the comments. Good weekend, Toluca. After watching league leaders Santos Laguna completely mierda the bed and go down 3-0 to the worst team in the league, Atlas, which ultimately led to a 3-2 loss, Toluca did the business 2-1 against the other worst team in the league, Lobos Buap, which is Toluca's 6th straight league win and puts them on top of the table with 4 games to go before the playoffs start. Bad weekend, Talleres. After battling back from a goal down in the famous La Bombonera Stadium against league leaders Boca Juniors, second place Talleres gave up a goal in the 91st minute to lose 2-1, which now creates a 9-point gap between them and Boca, and I think that pretty much seals it up for Boca with 6 games left to go in the Superliga, so congrats to them on repeating as champions. Dale Bo, dale bo. Dale bo, dale bo, dale bo, dale bo, dale bo, dale bo. Good weekend, the leaders of the Warm Ballers Fantasy Leagues. And we will start with the Fantasy Premier League first, where Robert Horsted is holding off longtime leader Keith Leal by 28 points with 6 weeks of the season left to go, so it's getting close to what we love calling squeaky bum time. And then in the MLS Fantasy League, you basically won this week if you had Zlatan in your team, and I didn't, and I don't think most people did. But whatever. Mr. Sarkar is still on top, but it's early, and I'm in 103rd place, which means I have him right where I want him. Bad weekend. Everyone in the comments who tried to predict the right score for Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. Because not one of you suckers got the score right, which means double the winners next week. And all right, that's it. That is all I got, so thank you for your support. As always, it means a lot. And I'm going to be in Boston at the end of this week and Manchester next week, so we got to get some pickup games going, so hit me up if you live in those cities. Later.